Hi there, Smart Drivers. Rick with Smart Drive Test talking to you tonight about road rage. When people get really excited about driving and what other people are doing on the roadway. Stick around. We'll be right back with that information. Hi there, Smart Drivers. Welcome back. Rick talking to you tonight about road rage. Yes, when people lose their mind. And Mallory is here, and I'm sure there's going to be some other people here too. It says 5, so there's a few other people here. Great week. My God, it's 30 degrees outside, 30 degrees Celsius. It's 86 degrees Fahrenheit for those of you in the States. Yes, and a few German is here. What if the truck I'm using only has 2 windows? How can I check my blind spot? I can't shoulder check. Yes, you can, German. You totally can. And you must shoulder check, even if you're driving a truck. Even if you're driving a bus, even if you're driving a big truck, a tractor trailer, you still have to shoulder check. So, Dum, how are you, my friend? Crazy Monkey. Go over right of way. Yes, absolutely, we can go over right of way. DC's here. Bricks for Wheels. Corey is Bricks for Wheels. He is the moderator. Does an excellent job of getting videos up that I suggest you have a further look at for more details. And keeps the bad people out. Yes. So make sure you have a look. Posted here is the t-shirts, Smart Drive Test t-shirts with one cool saying. I have one of those. I'm working on that as well. Pass your driver's test first time course package, $37.95 over at the Smart Drive Test website. That is what makes all of this possible here on the Smart Drive Test channel. LaRusi, hello, my friend. Ramula, watching from Hong Kong. That is awesome. Welcome from Hong Kong. That is really great. Crazy Monkey, I don't know why, but right-of-way rules confuse me. Okay, and we will talk about that after the presentation. Remind me, Crazy Monkey, to talk about that. Mohammed, how are you, my friend? And I have some exciting news. I'll talk to you about that after the presentation as well. Some good gains this week. And Jim Bob, hello, my friend. So without further ado, let's get over to the presentation. I'll get through that. And then after, we'll come back and we will spend the remainder of the hour answering any questions you have about passing a driver's test, about driving, defensive driving, starting a career as a CDL driver, and getting going on being a truck driver or a bus driver. So we'll get that going. And Michael is here. Jacob, German, the truck has 2 windows though. Yes, I got that. So I can look to my left and right window whenever I do a shoulder check. There's not another window there. Do you mind explaining? Yeah, because a German, you got a window here and a window over there. So there is a bit of an angle to the back that you can't see. So you're still looking to make sure that there isn't a vehicle directly beside you on the right. And my right, your left. And on this side here, your peripheral vision is going to see back here. So you have to shoulder check, even though you have a window here and a window there. It's a requirement for a driver's test. It's also, it's also going to keep you safe as a smarter, safer driver. It's the same thing when drivers say to me, I don't have to shoulder check to the left. Yes, you do need to shoulder check to the left because, bicycles, pedestrians are going to sneak up on the inside of you, or people are going to cut the corner off, as I had a taxi driver do once. So you need to do all of that, okay? You still have to look over your shoulder. Absolutely you do. Okay, George, hello, my friend. Kath, okay, presentation. Let's get going here. Road rage, yes, when people grab the steering wheel and beat on the dash and cuss other people. Excellent. Sheldon, my friend, welcome. Get on the right keys here. Smart Drive Test. I am Rick August. I do have a PhD in legal history, which is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic, and I graduated from the University of Melbourne in Australia in 2006. During the 1990s, I drove truck, mostly east of the Mississippi, but out of Canada into the United States, picked up another load, and then came back into Canada. While I was going to university, drove buses for Greyhound in Australia. Australians claim that they founded Greyhound. Never really questioned that. I just relay that fact, which is interesting. And became a licensed commercial driving instructor in 1997. Taught mostly tractor trailers, air brakes, any commercial vehicles, but I've done a lot of car stuff as well, as you can see with the videos with Charlie and the videos with Gavin, who both were successful in passing their driver's test in the last few weeks, couple of months here. And so I've done a lot of that. And in 2015, I started the YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel has been wildly more successful than I could have ever imagined. And this year's goal is to build and scale Smart Drive Tests so that we can help even more people to be safer, smarter drivers and to earn their license. So that's the goal of Smart Drive Test. This week, new video, left turns. It was well past due to redo and reshoot the left turn video. So did that this week. Talked about the jig jog, which is the moving over to the left a little bit and then straightening your steer tires back out so that you can see past vehicles on the opposing lane of traffic there. And so, you know, I did that. I also shot a video this week on left turns with a commercial vehicle, but that's for a private contractor, so that's not going to go up. But some of the footage is there and it was useful. I'm not sure why I told you that, but anyway, I know why I told you that. Stick around for the big surprise coming at the end here. Social driving. What is social driving? Not stopping at stop signs, driving over painted islands, going on yellow lights, speeding, traffic flow. All of these are hallmarks of social driving, how people drive after they get their license. And I will guarantee you, anybody who's here and working towards getting your driver's license, if you participate in social driving, you will not be successful on a driver's test. It's counterintuitive, but the way that you need to drive for the purposes of passing a driver's test is almost completely opposite of social driving. After you get your license and you start driving, you will be participating within social driving. Driving is an activity where we share the road space with other people, and we have to get along according to a set of road rules, right-of-way rules, and a road culture. And the road culture here in British Columbia is different than the road culture in Arizona, United States. It's different than it is in London, England. It's different than it is in Melbourne, Australia. So know that wherever you live, there is going to be a particular road culture. For example, Melbourne, Australia has trams, trolleys that run in the middle of the road. And they very much cause drivers to race trams because they don't want to be stuck behind a tram. So peer pressure is real. Hurry up and go. And this is one of the dangers for new drivers who are learning how to drive, because they get on a left-hand turn, they feel pressured, the vehicles behind them, the drivers behind them honk, and then they go and they don't have sufficient gap and they get T-boned in the intersection because of that peer pressure. So it's part of learning to drive is to ignore other drivers, to focus on what you are doing. And that is difficult because you're in this little metal box that moves around on the roadway, and there's other people who are honking and they're close and they're tailgating you and those types of things. So you have to focus on what you're doing. All right, so the driving task, what are you up against? There are 6 factors of driving that are constantly changing and will change essentially second to second. Driver, vehicle, traffic, road, light, and weather. And these can come in any different combinations that, you know, will just drive you crazy when you're first learning how to drive, because, you know, getting up in the morning and driving on the exact same roads that you drove on the night before on your way to work are going to be very different as the sun is coming up and, you know, you're driving into glaring sun or whatnot. So this is the driving task. This is what you're up against. Angry drivers. They exist in abundance on our roadways. This is a poll that I put up last week on the community tab, and I asked people what really peeves them off, what really sets their ire on fire. I was going for the little rhyme there. So you can see that out of almost, 655 people that answered this poll, more than 50% almost exactly, are ticked off by people that tailgate them. And, you know, it's 25% being cut off. So that accounts for 75% of what ticks people off on the roadway. And as well, there are some really angry people on the roadways. And if you want to just go over and read the comments on this community poll here, and yeah, you'll realize that there are some really angry people on the road. And you know, some of the people commented that it was everything on the road that ticked them off. So, oh, where's my gain? I'm trying to turn my gain down here a little bit. Here we go. Next slide. So, aggression against other drivers can manifest itself in different things. It can be minor, horn honking, hand gestures, flashing lights, yelling, following too close, and those types of things. So that's what, you know, minor things that can happen to you that can pressure you to hurry up and go or get out of the way of somebody or those types of things. George says, being cut off. Okay, so these are the minor things, and then there's the major things. We're using the vehicle as a weapon. They actually drive into you or sideswipe you or try to push you with the bumper and those types of things. Or they'll do a brake check on an interstate at 60 or 70 miles an hour where they'll pull in front of you and nail the brakes, and then you run into the back end of them. Following you home and then getting out of the vehicle and engaging in physical fisticuffs where they're actually going to threaten physical violence. And this is not something you want to happen to you, because it does happen. There is road rage. There are incidents of people getting out of the vehicles. I mean, all you have to do is search this on YouTube and you will find all kinds of dash cam footage where two drivers get out of the vehicle and they go at it. So this does happen. If you are involved in a situation where somebody is physically approaching you and physically threatening you, do not unlock the doors, do not engage, do not take pictures of them. Simply leave the windows rolled up, lock the doors, and do not engage with a person, because people that are upset, people that are angry at you, they can only stay angry for a couple of minutes, even if they're standing on your hood and jumping up and down. If you don't engage and there's no fuel or reason for them to escalate them already being angry, they're not going to get any more angry after a couple of minutes. They can only sustain that for a couple of minutes of being angry. So if you do feel threatened, don't drive home, because if they're following you, don't drive home. Go to a public place, go to a police station. I know it's going to be tough if you do go to a police station to find somebody, you know, to find a police officer, somebody else that's actually going to help you out. But if you feel threatened, call 911 and tell them what's happening, and give the description of the driver and the vehicle to the best of your ability and those types of things. All right? Let them have their crash somewhere else. This is what I tell people again and again. People, you know, it's not a matter of if something's going to happen. It's not a matter of if somebody's going to tailgate you. It's not a matter of if somebody's going to cut you off. It's not a matter of if somebody's not going to signal when they change lanes and those types of things. It's going to happen all of the time. It's a matter of when is it going to happen. And when it does happen, you just take a breath, say to yourself, oh, that happened. Go and have your crash somewhere else. I know it's a bit, you know, tacit maybe is the word I'm looking for. That's a big word, too big. That's not the word I'm looking for. So the other thing about it is that people may not even know they cut you off, okay? Pay attention to your own driving. If people are tailgating you, simply increase the space in front of you. If people are tailgating you, they want to go faster than you. So as soon as there's an opportunity for them to pass you, they're going to pass you and they're going to be gone. It's probably going to be a 30-second, maybe a 1-minute situation on a road or those types of things. So know that, okay? And finally, as it says there in the last bit, is you don't know who's in the other vehicle. You don't know what they're capable of or what extent of violence that they're going to go to, because there are, you know, most people in the world are nice, but there are some people in the world who are not nice, and they would take no second thought about pulling you out of your vehicle and laying into you with everything they got. And those people that are like that are dangerous people. All right, so good luck in your driver's test. Good luck on driving in your career with aggression and aggressive drivers. And we can talk about some stories here, and I've got some stories about people that are aggressive and those types of things. So let's do all of that and talk about that. My friend Goose is here. Mad Max, just get out of my way. Yes. George, yes. Margaret, my friend, how are you? Terminator, hello. Margaret, a school bus driver, was run over by a road rage driver who kept honking, then hitting her bus when she was stopped at a red light. And when she got out to take a picture, he ran over her. Yes, and that's very unfortunate, Margaret. That's just a horrible story about a bus driver. But again, do not engage. Do not get out of the vehicle. Do not take a picture, because this is what happens. People will use their vehicle as a weapon. Story of road rage. This is actually a little bit funny. It was funny at the time. It was very funny. Big bloke I worked with at the butcher shop. I worked at the butcher shop in Australia part-time while I was doing my graduate degree. I would go in on Saturday mornings and I would clean the butcher shop in the back where the kitchen was, and they made meat and those types of things. And $50 cash. And it was what, bought our fruits and vegetables every week. And Dale was he was one of these barrel-chested guys, my height, probably weighed 240 pounds. And so one week I come in and he's got a big black eye. And of course, we're razzing him, and he won't tell us what happened, how he got his black eye. And so razzing him, and then finally he come up and he explained the story to me, what happened. He said, yep, I had a road rage incident. He says, I got out of the car, and he said this grizzled old 55-year-old bricklayer got out of his car, didn't even hesitate, walked up to him and didn't even say anything, just punched him right in the head. And of course, that's what happened with road rage incidents is that people will do that. People won't even talk to you. They'll just start swinging at you. And so don't engage. Don't get out of your vehicle. Don't unlock your doors. Don't roll down your windows. And, you're going to be okay. Margaret, I think she felt she had to document it for the bus company. Yeah, Margaret, she probably did feel that way, but unfortunately it's against what I'm telling you in terms of dealing with aggressive drivers. Make sure that you don't engage, don't take pictures, don't do anything to add fuel to their rage, because unfortunately this is what's going to happen. Jim Bob, what happened to Scout? I haven't seen her in a while. Well, she's at her mom's this week, and she's good. Still my daughter. She'll be back next week. I'll tell her that she's been missed and will get involved here. So there we go. So I'm having a look here. Crazy Monkey wanted me to explain road rules. Okay. Jim Bob. Yeah, that was funny. So, right-of-way rules. Okay, two-way stop signs. Major road over minor road. Lost my train of thought. Right-of-way rules at two-way stop signs. Major road over minor road. Straight-through traffic over turning traffic. And right-turning traffic over left-turning traffic. That's the rules for two-way stop signs. Four-way stop signs. Right-of-way rules at four-way stop signs. First person to arrive. If you're not sure, it's the vehicle on the right. However, that rarely happens. And if you're not sure and you both arrive at the same time, then just pause and the other vehicle will go first for right-of-way rules. And then all of the other rules apply. Straight through traffic over turning traffic, and then right turning traffic over left turning traffic for four-way stop signs. Those are your biggest rules. And then, of course, roundabouts. You have to give way to vehicles in the roundabout. Signal, if practicable, when you're leaving the roundabout for right-of-way rules. Pedestrians pretty much anywhere in North America have the right-of-way. If they're waiting to cross the roadway, then you have to give way to the pedestrians and allow them to cross the roadway. And I mean, here in British Columbia, we have these weird kind of walkways that have, a couple of times have kind of caught me out, where pedestrians just kind of step off this road and they don't point. They just kind of step off into the roadway, and then all of a sudden you're not, your attention has waned for a moment or something, and then, all of a sudden it's like you look up and there's a pedestrian standing there. And here's another piece. This is for more defensive driving and safety, and this is really for people who are walking at night. Know that if you're standing at a crosswalk and you're waiting to cross the road and those types of things, and vehicles are not stopping, I mean, if we're talking about an unmarked crosswalk where there's just signs, there's no lights or those types of things, you can't be seen. It's because you cannot be seen. It's because drivers can't see you. And I've driven through these crosswalks before, and then, as you're going through the crosswalk, you look over and you're like, oh, there's pedestrians standing there. So know that at night it's very difficult to see pedestrians. Okay, Crazy Monkey. So what if someone on the highway doesn't give you the right of way when you're trying to merge onto the highway? Okay. So that's a different question. Crazy Monkey, the onus of responsibility for merging safely onto the highway is on the merging driver. It's not on the people on the roadway. If they're nice to you, they will slow down a little bit to allow you to merge out onto the highway, or if possible, they will move over to the other lane, but that's not something that they have to do. They don't have to give you the right of way to merge out onto the roadway. The onus of responsibility for merging is on the merging driver. So when you're coming out on the on-ramp, and sometimes you're going to have to use the on-ramp as the acceleration lane because there's not enough acceleration lane there. So you got to get the vehicle up to speed, and Corey will put the video up for merging onto highways. If they can move over, they will, but you can't be guaranteed that that's going to happen. So what you need to do is as you're coming out and you're looking at the traffic, you're picking your hole and you aim for that hole. And of course it's going to be moving. So your gap is back here, and you come out and you're accelerating and you're aiming for that hole, right? And this goes for new drivers who are learning how to merge onto highways and freeways, because it's intimidating the first few times you do it. You're moving at this high rate of speed, 60, 70 miles an hour, and you got to aim for that hole. If there's a big truck out there, a tractor trailer unit, usually it's best to pull in behind the tractor trailer, because you got to realize these things are at highway speed, right? They're doing 60, 65 miles an hour. So usually it's best to pull in behind the big truck. And I've seen, some awful videos where I've had truck drivers argue with me that say they don't have to move over, they don't have to slow down. And then I've seen videos where new drivers who are trying to merge out and trying to learn this kind of freeze up on the ramp, and there isn't somebody competent in the vehicle who can kind of take control and tell them what to do in a calm manner. And I saw one where, a road tractor just held course. The new driver froze and then got to the end of the ramp and just drove into the side of the tractor. Whereas all the tractor had to do, there wasn't a trailer on, the truck wasn't loaded. All the truck had to do was kind of slow down and let the driver merge over. But unfortunately, this is the other part with aggression and those types of things, is that we get into this, I've got the right of way and I'm right. Yeah, you can be right, or you can be dead right. And that's what happens, unfortunately. Mallory, when you are at a two-way stop sign, don't pull out onto the major road when the cars are coming in either direction. Yes. And that's the first rule, Mallory. That's an excellent point, is that, no, the cross traffic's not going to stop. And if you scroll down through the community tab, there's a picture of a whole bunch of different stop signs. One of them in Kelowna, it's a two-way stop sign, and underneath the stop sign it says, cross traffic does not stop. That's basically what a two-way stop sign means. But for new drivers, the difference between two-way and four-way stop signs is a bit confusing, and realize that any stop sign that's not a two-way stop sign will have a four-way, all-way, or three-way underneath it, telling you that different rules apply than a two-way stop sign. Okay, so the rules are a bit different. Okay, excellent. Thanks for that, Goose. Crazy Monkey, sorry, I have a lot of questions, but I won't bomb you with them all. Thank you so much. It's been difficult to get my license. No, Crazy Monkey, ask away. We got time. That's what this is for. It's question and answers. Ask questions, mate, because that's, if you're looking to ask the question, Crazy Monkey, I promise you there's 5 or 6 other people here now on the live stream, and there's another 50 or 60 people who are going to watch this on the replay who are going to have the same questions. So if ask away, and that's what we're here for, to help you out. Goose, single vehicle motorcycle killed in crash at one of our roundabouts last week. Recall new roundabouts here in Sudbury. Was there any details, Goose, about why the rider was killed in a roundabout? or was it just the fact that that's where it happened? Because it's interesting the way that media kind of shapes a story, because there's a lot of factors that was the driver intoxicated? Was the rider intoxicated? Were they smoking marijuana? Was the driver not paying attention? Was it dark? Was it raining? Was the motorcycle rider wearing a helmet? There's just so many questions, that need to be brought forth if we're going to start talking about these things about because it sounds to me, the way that you said that the media is trying to paint a picture that roundabouts are bad, when in fact roundabouts are not bad. There's just been too many studies to show the effectiveness of roundabouts compared to conventional intersections, and this is just some local media source that has a bias towards roundabouts and hasn't looked at the information about the effectiveness and the safety record of roundabouts. So I'd be interested to know more details about that. Margaret, does your friend Sam still teach driving? I need a new driving instructor. Margaret, actually, I don't think that he's actually doing in-classroom stuff, but I could send him an email and see what he says, whether he might be able to help you out or not, or he at least might be able to recommend somebody for you. So, Margaret, just send me an email, and I'll forward that to Sam and see if we can get you hooked up with a new driving instructor. Colton, I've seen some four-way stops that don't have the four-way or all-way tabs under them. Very strange. Colton, yeah, and I can't say that I've ever seen an intersection that doesn't have those on them, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist. And if you could identify maybe some of those intersections and send me the addresses, that would be really great, Colton. That would be awesome for everybody else. Rocky, how are you, my friend? That's awesome that you're back. Despite the crazy lockdown there in Ontario that's now been extended to the 2nd of June. And you haven't been having the greatest weather in Ontario. My mom lives in Ontario. As I was saying in the introduction here, it's 30 degrees here and at 86 degrees Fahrenheit today. It's been really nice. So, okay, George, you want to see real road rage? Come to New York City. I swear most people over here don't know how to drive, how to read signs, or just don't care. Yeah, and then, that's kind of the same with most metropolitan cities, large metropolitan cities for sure. You're welcome, Margaret. Crazy monkey. So when you're at a light and you're turning, do you want to be accelerating as soon as the road is clear and the light turns green, or do you want to coast until you're in the lane and then accelerate? No, you want to. So crazy monkey, you want to pause as soon as the light turns green. You want to pause. You want to scan the intersection, left, center, right, left again, because left is where any red light runners are going to come from. They're going to come from the left. So just before you accelerate, light turns green. Boom, 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 go. And then you accelerate through the intersection. And of course, as you're moving through the intersection, you're going to be continuing to scan as you move through the intersection. So that's how you take off from an intersection. Goose, no details other than the driver lost control of the bike, leading to the single vehicle collision. Okay, so it was completely a single vehicle collision, and there's no other details than that. Goose, can you email me the media source for that? Because again, as you know, we're into single vehicle collisions, and the thing with single vehicle collisions is they're difficult to investigate. And because, there's only one person involved and you don't really know why. And, my mate was telling me a motorcycle story here just the other day about a motorcycle. He was new to Vernon. He's coming down Hospital Hill, which is, coming into town from the highway. And motorcycle rider beside him, and they don't know for sure, but he lived in Alberta, bought a motorcycle in Vancouver, drove all the way to Vancouver, or took the bus, or however got to Vancouver, picked up this motorcycle, and then was going back to Alberta. And by the time he got here, he was beside my friend, and they think that he fell asleep on the bike and, drove off, lost control, hit a light standard, those types of things. So, you know, unfortunately, those things happen with single vehicle collisions. That most of the time it's either alcohol related, marijuana, you know, drugs, some other types of drugs, or they fell asleep at the wheel. So, you know, they're inexplicable. There's a lot of times there's just reasons that will never be revealed about what happened in the traffic crash. Chelsea, I passed my road test on Tuesday. Respect to you. That's awesome. Congratulations, Chelsea. Thank you so much for stopping back and letting us know that you passed your driver's test. Awesome, awesome. German, if I doing a left turn at an intersection, is it all right if I go to the right lane? I've seen many cars do this. Ooh, you're doing a left turn at an intersection. Is it all right if I go to the right lane? The only time that you can go in the right lane to make a left turn, German, is if there's multi-turning lanes. And if there's two multi-turning lanes to the left, then you definitely want to be in the right-hand lane. You don't want to be in the inside lane. And the reason for that is if you're in the right lane and there's two lanes turning to the left, when you get around the corner, you're already going to be in the right-hand lane. You don't have to change lanes after you make the left-hand turn. Jonigan, you helped me pass my driver's test. Jermaine, that's awesome. Congratulations on passing your test. That's really, really great news. Tommy, you have a road test tomorrow. I don't really want to fail. Tommy, you're going to do awesome. Remember to breathe. That's going to cause your body to relax. And I learned this week that, you know, we have some fear and some trepidation around going and doing a driver's test. But if fear plus breath, if we remember to breathe, it turns fear into excitement. So do that. Remember to breathe. And also it forces your body to relax when you're driving. Mallory, why do some people feel the need not to use their turn signals, especially when your turn signal is how you communicate with other drivers? Well, Mallory, I think for some people what they're trying to do is increase the resale value of their vehicle, because then they can claim that the turn signals hadn't been used. And I'm being funny guy. There's Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen, the movie where he actually has a road rage incident. He's an assassin or something, and he has a road rage incident about people not using their turn signals. And he just goes on in this tirade about, you know, it's just a little move of your finger, it's right there at the steering wheel, blah, 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 blah. And then this guy doesn't use his turn signal and he runs him off the road. So, again, we come back to this again about you don't know who's in the other vehicle when, you know, you experience road rage. So know that. Katie, how do I stay in between the continent lines when practicing driving on a road? Okay, so Katie, look farther down the road when you're driving. Follow the other traffic. And the other thing I would suggest to you, I suspect you've already done some of the slow speed maneuvers. Go back and work on those a little bit. Put the cones in a line and drive up and down straight on either side of the cones, and that will definitely help you out, okay? Monkey, some lanes are hard to tell when another car is turning in a turning lane. Yes, some of the road markings aren't very good. And Monkey, one of the things that I advocate and tell you, if you're preparing for a driver's test, make sure that you practice in and around the test center where you're going to be taking your test. Because this is one of the things that happens is that the road markings become faded, and it's difficult. It can be difficult to tell whether you're in a turning lane or those types of things, okay? Sina, hi Rick, thanks for the great content. When is the best time to enter a left turn lane? I've seen people driving over yellowed stripe standard left turn lane, which is definitely wrong, I think. Yes, here in North America, you cannot drive over the painted island for the purposes of getting into the left turn lane. You do need to get into the left turn lane as soon as it starts. Make sure that you shoulder check, and again, have a look at the video that I put up last week. Corey will put that up, post that up again for you. And excuse me. That was the other point that I wanted to make. If the traffic is backed up in the lane that you're in and the left turn lane is up here, you have to wait in this lane for the traffic to move forward before you can get into the left turn lane. Do not drive over the painted island to get into that left turn lane, okay? Know that. All right, Jacob, I'm still waiting for my appointment for my permit. Jacob, where are you in the world that you're waiting for your permit? Okay. Okay, excellent. Katie, I'm still looking for different. Katie, have you basically had gotten somebody to phone or kind of got on the internet and started talking to people and looking around and those types of things? Uh, okay, Corey put up the video on how to pass a driver's test. Road test first time. It's really good. Excellent. Thank you so much, Mallory, for that compliment. That's awesome. Yes, that's very true of what Margaret just said, that different vehicles can have different sensitivity to the primary controls, the throttle, the brake, and the steering wheel and those types of things. That's going to be very different depending on which vehicle you're in for the purposes of driving. Goose, road markings are like pictures in coloring books. Don't color, don't drive outside the lines. That's that's a really great analogy. I'm going to use that, Goose. Mohammed, I go to school to get my CDL license. I passed the reading test, but I am having trouble with the actual driving, especially the shifting. Do you have any advice for me? Mohammed, how long have you been in truck driving school now, working with the shifting? Chelsea, is going 5 over the speed limit okay? Chelsea, for the purposes of your driver's test, if it is for the purposes of your driver's test, no. You need to drive the speed limit for the purposes of your driver's test. If you go over or under, both are equally bad, okay? It's just as bad to go too slow as it is to go too fast. Monkey, do you want to be closer to the left side of the road or the right when in a lane? No, you want it, Monkey, you want to be in the center of the lane when you're driving. Jacob, I'm in Texas. I already passed it, but it was from a outside driver's text. It's been like a month and a half. Oh, okay. Okay, Jacob, have you followed up on that appointment for your driver's test? Because you may need to follow up. You may need to get somebody involved and start questioning and say, hey, listen, I need to get this going here. I've always questioned the car sensitivity. Oh, you know, Monkey, as you get more and more experience and you get in different vehicles, you're going to find that they're all sensitive. It's the same thing as if I get in somebody else's manual car. I'm probably going to stall it. I'm probably going to grind a gear or two because it's just different. You get used to a certain type of vehicle. So this is one of the things that I strongly recommend that you do when you are driving is that for the last week or so that you stay in the same vehicle to practice to be ready for your driver's test when you go for your driver's test, because you don't want to get into a different vehicle. And this was something that I had, you know, that really practiced when, especially at the truck driving school, it was even more important that the student go to the test in the same vehicle that he or she had been training on, because you stick them into a different truck and every truck drives differently, just like every car is going to drive differently. And used to have some driving instructors say, oh, these two trucks are exactly the same. And it's like, yeah, rubbish. They're the same. They're not the same at all. You can have two trucks that come off the assembly line, one right behind the other, and those two trucks will be different. I can guarantee you that. I've never got in a tractor trailer unit that was different than the same as another truck. It's the same kind of principle, but they ain't the same. Pearson, sure, all are sensitive, but some are more sensitive than others, and that is very true. Same here. The Toyota Yaris is so sensitive that I dread being assigned it when I go for a lesson. Excuse me. Oh, okay, that's some interesting information. I also from Texas, and I've been told that the DMV is the only official test. That would be interesting to follow up on that information there in Texas, because I have been told that Texas does allow third-party testing, but now we're hearing different information, which we probably need to confirm about whether other driving schools can do third-party testing. I actually have a contact in Texas. I'll contact her and see what she has to say about that for people here on the channel. Margaret, the driving school sent me to take a road test in a car I've never driven before with a guy driving that spoke zero English. Yeah, and that's just not cool at all. I've had that happen a couple of times. I trained this one guy, and it was somebody, there was just politics involved in the driving instructor anyway. He ended up going with another school. Fortunately, the guy had enough experience. He'd driven before and was getting his license back, that he did all right. Unfortunately, we had one student some years ago. We got down to the test center. The truck broke down. We went and got the same, they were the same year truck, same model, everything else, same color even. But he got in the truck and it just rattled him so much because the truck broke down that he wasn't able to pull it off and didn't pass his driver's test. Goose, a lot of my students don't even know if they'll be using my training car or something else for the road test. I guess they don't communicate with their parents. Yeah. That might be something right off the top, Goose, that you say to them, hey, driver's test, are you taking my vehicle or are you taking your parents' vehicle? Because it would be a lot easier for you from the start. Jacob, yes, I live in Texas and I am taking a test from a driving school. Yeah, it might be worthwhile, Jacob, to figure out whether it's actually the DMV that you have to go to for your permit and your test there. Hugh, have you ever considered having a program instructing truck car instructors? Hugh, Train the Trainer. I have done Train the Trainer and done that program, and yeah, we need to do that as well. That's something on the list down the road. And oh, here's the exciting news. The exciting news. So last week, some of you may or may not know, I am working with a business coach, Kim Artensinger. She's out of New York City. She's an excellent, excellent coach. One of the books that she recommended that I read was The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I started reading this last week. And it is an incredible book. Absolutely incredible book, especially if you're running a business or you got some things going on in your life and you just you need to move forward with your life. And basically, he talks about the zone of competence, which many of us operate in and we do very well and we're successful, and we can kind of walk around in our zone of competence, our zone of excellence rather, not our zone of competence. Zone of competence is one below zone of excellence where somebody else can do it just as well as we can, and we really shouldn't be operating there. Zone of excellence is where we are successful, we make money, and everything's great, but we're not exactly challenged or happy with our lives. So the place that you really want to be operating is zone of genius. And I'm going to be quite honest with you, my zone of genius is tractor trailer stuff. Air brakes, teaching tractor trailer stuff, I can do it really well. But I've been, I got a few comments from truck drivers on my channel, blah, blah, blah. As you do, truck drivers, don't really have a filter. And so I've been dragging my feet. The channel's been very successful doing car stuff and helping people get their first license and those types of things. So Friday I was reading all of this and I'm like, I got to get a truck. I got to start teaching tractor trailer stuff. And a couple of years ago, I talked to the rental company here in town, Norval. They were kind of interested to let me use equipment and those types of things in exchange for some advertising and whatnot. And so Friday, put on my big boy pants, went down, talked to the manager, and boom, I got a truck. So next week, I got my camera guy lined up, who's Gavin, who's on the channel. I taught him how to drive, get his license there last week. We did some work this morning. And so got a tractor trailer. They're going to put a load on it for me, and we're going to shoot next week, next Sunday. So in the coming weeks, we are going to get up the Class 1, the tractor trailer, Class A road test, which is, it's probably going to be a 2.5 hour video that's going to be broken into 5 parts. So that's the very exciting part, is that we're moving forward into the CDL stuff. And if you get a chance, definitely pick up this book and have a read of it. I got it from the library, but I'm definitely going to pick up a copy for myself. My friend Tim, how are you? Drive Smart BC. If you live in the province of British Columbia, want to know anything about traffic, anything about driving, laws, legislation, why they exist, certain things that happen, what's going on with ICBC, definitely head over to Tim's channel there, Drive Smart BC, and he will have all of that wonderful information as well. He has tremendous forums that are really great there on his channel, so definitely check that out. Sina, is it a good idea to slow down when approaching intersections that have had green lights for a long time in anticipation of a yellow light? No, you don't want to slow down if the light is still green, unless you're absolutely sure it's going to turn yellow. Some traffic light intersections will have those warning lights and whatnot, but you don't want to slow down. So you simply want to cover the brake in preparation for getting slowed down and getting stopped. And if you want to see stopping at a yellow light, the video, the road test day with Charlie, he had a yellow light that he had to stop for. As well, Corey will also put the video up for you on yellow lights. That's the video that I was thinking of that you need to have a look at as well. Tim, you're most welcome. Hugh, you're most welcome. Oh, I'm definitely going to have to look at that, Tim, if you had an article on traffic cop humor. That would be funny. I'm looking forward to doing that. Canada, hey, Rick, got any goofy jiu-jitsu stories to tell us this week? No, I really don't have any jiu-jitsu stories other than, I'm getting pretty good at it. And my signature move now is kind of the north-south choke. That's how I get them in jiu-jitsu. So we're still working. We're still trying to get it. And, my knee cut's pretty good. So we're getting there. And the goal with jiu-jitsu this year is to get my blue belt. And I don't know if any of you know anything about jiu-jitsu, but it's one of those very long games. Most people who get a black belt in jiu-jitsu usually 12, 15, even 20 years before they get black belt. So it's a long journey with jiu-jitsu. So Tim is saying a bit of a departure from the norm there with the article on humor. That's awesome. I'll definitely have to check that out. Okay. Monkey, so when you're just driving in a random location, you can't tell which lane is which because of multiple cars in front of you. What do you do? Okay, so Monkey, one of the things that you can do is that it's pretty easy to map out an intersection as you're approaching the intersection. So usually, most complex intersections are going to be 2 through lanes and then a left turning lane and maybe a right lane for turning into a slip lane and those types of things. If it's more than 2 lanes, that's unusual unless you're into a bigger metropolitan city. But for the most part, the other thing, traffic lights, the configuration of the traffic lights will give you a setup of what the configuration of the intersection and those types of thing is. But as you're approaching the intersection, be scanning the intersection, figuring out what the traffic flow is through the intersection, and that will give you a good indication of whether there's multi-lanes and those types of things. And then finally, the most important piece is, of course, be looking at your traffic signs, right? Your overhead traffic signs will give you lane designations and those types of things. So be looking at your traffic signs, and those will really give you the roadmap. Okay? Chelsea, I'm grateful for finding your channel. Helped me a lot. We're so glad that we could help out, Chelsea. That's really awesome. Thank you so much. Canada, how nice. How long have you been training? I've been 3 years with jiu-jitsu now, but you have to understand that last year I was out for the better part of 6 or 8 months because my back was out. Touch wood. Thank whomever, the powers that be, that I'm good and I can go back and train at jiu-jitsu. But so it's probably been closer to 2 years. Most of the people that I started with at the same time that I started, they've all been promoted to blue belt. So it's just a matter of, getting going, keep going, doing the work you need to do and those types of things. It's going to be great. Epic, my friend. Why not pull over and report the aggressive driver? In some states, there are numbers to report aggressive drivers. You can do that, Epic. Pull over and report aggressive drivers, but I would suggest to you that you do it after the incident is over. Okay? And a lot of people are running dash cams now. I run a dash cam all the time, so there's going to be some footage. I don't counsel you in any way to take pictures or those types of things. Just try and get the license plate, write the license plate down, and then report it to police if you can do it with aggressive drivers. The problem with reporting it is it's very difficult to have any kind of follow-up action with these drivers. I mean, police officers may, go and knock on their door and say, hey, we had this incident reported and those types of things. But for the most part, it's difficult to follow up because, I mean, and Tim might have some more insight into this about aggressive drivers and road rage and those types of things, about what you can do and what police can do and those types of things. Jacob, I have an appointment on the 26th of this month to show them I passed the permit and take the eye exam, and then go back to the driving school to do a practice and then a real driver's test. Awesome. Ben, my friend, how are you? I'm awesome. Excellent. RB, I'm in Canada. I'm in Western Canada. The most western province. I'm in British Columbia, Canada, so that's where I am, my friend. All right. So, yes. So, again, we're very excited about the Class 1 stuff. Doing that. I got what we needed to do here. So, tomorrow. No, that's great. Very much. Thanks for dropping in, Ben, and saying hi. That's awesome. So we're talking a little bit about road rage tonight. We're talking about helping people get their driver's license and those types of things. Again, over at the Smart Drive Test website, all of this is made possible by the course package. Pass your driver's test first time course package helps you pass your driver's test guaranteed, as well as a bonus. We throw in the defensive and winter driving smart courses because we know that new drivers are at the highest risk of being involved in a crash. So to try and mitigate that risk, to try and reduce that, we put in the winter and defensive driving smart courses. And if you're in those southern states where you don't get winter, all of the skills, all of the techniques from the winter driving course will help you to drive in any inclement weather. So in fog, in hail, night driving, sleet, freezing rain, all of those types of things. The winter driving course and the techniques and skills that we teach in that course will help you with those inclement weathers and driving in bad weather and those types of things. Tim, it's not hard to do, but the will to do it is lacking. There are articles about this on my site. Awesome. So, again, there's another source. Look at Tim's site over there, Drive Smart BC. There's articles there about road rage that will give you more information about that. Monkey had a cognitive learning disability and understands you perfectly, and that is awesome, Monkey. I'm so glad that we could help out with getting your license and passing, because there's a lot of people, not just you, who have a learning disability, whether that's dyslexia or they just they haven't identified yet what kind of a learner there are, because there are very different kinds of learners, right? There's visual learners, there's auditory learners, there's people who are very hands-on when they learn. And, maybe the person that's helping you to prepare for your driver's test isn't delivering the information in a way that you're able to consume it. And this is one of the challenges. Goose will speak to this, and other driving instructors. Tim as well teaches driving. One of the challenges is to try and shape your delivery so that it's easily digestible by the student, so that you're on the same plane with them, right? Or you're just revisiting the same thing until you're able to say it in such a way that they I got it, right? And that's what we're trying to do with driving, is to help understand it, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the driving environment. And I think some new drivers who are working towards getting a license are a little bit surprised by how much there is to learn with driving, because there's a lot to learn, right? So, Hugh, I train in a rural environment. What would you suggest for gap training? So, Hugh, when you say gap training, are you talking about kind of meeting the gap of other vehicles and those types of things? Is that what you're talking about, Hugh? Jacob, okay, so excellent. Corey put up the Smarter Driver course package there, so head over there, have a look at that, and be guaranteed that you pass your driver's test first time. Ben says, I have several learning disabilities too, and I'm so glad that we could help you out, my friend. How will I overcome my fear of driving by myself when I get in my car? It's just a matter of practice, Ben, and sometimes if there's certain things that cause you more anxiety than other things, so for example left-hand turns, then it's sometimes good to, maybe you need to hire a driving instructor to help you with that and ease some of that tension and some of anxiety around left-hand turns. or maybe just go with a mentor, somebody that you trust who can be in the vehicle with you and give you some pointers and whatnot when you're doing those left-hand maneuvers and whatnot, because you kind of have that little bit of a safety net that can really help you out when you're learning how to drive, or trying to reduce some of that anxiety around certain maneuvers when you're driving. Tony, any tips for merging with bigger vehicles like a pickup truck? The size to account can be overwhelming, especially in heavy traffic or in short entry ramps when I have little time to react. Tony, bigger vehicles merging onto roadways and whatnot, you got to get your foot into it. That's really the most important thing. You got to signal. And again, I come back to the piece with merging is that as you're coming out on the on-ramp, as you're coming out on the acceleration lane, more so on the on-ramp, you're looking at the traffic on the roadway or on the highway, and you're picking your spot, and you're aiming for that spot. If you can pick that spot and aim for that spot, it's going to be a lot easier for you to merge onto the highway or freeway. And again, if it's busy, as you said, if it's backed up on the highway or freeway, match the speed of the traffic on the roadway, put your signal on, and if you're getting near the end of the ramp and nobody's letting you over, start crowding that left side of the ramp. Don't come out of your lane, but crowd the left side, and that's eventually somebody's going to let you in and give you a space. Goose, absolutely. I shape my lessons around what I learn about my students within the first 30 minutes or so, more or less. It's intuitive. It's totally intuitive is what Goose is saying, and it's one of the things we do as educators when we're teaching, especially when we get in the car. The first kind of few minutes is assessment for learning. It's where is the student at? What abilities and skills does he or she already have? And then we're giving them some information, and how are they taking on that information? Are they able to take on that information, incorporate it into their driving? And so this is what we're looking for in the first kind of 30 minutes, 15, 20 minutes of driving with a new student in the vehicle. It's not just his or her skills and abilities, but it's also her skills and abilities in the ability to take on new information and incorporate that in their driving. That's what we're looking for with new drivers. Colton, I recently watched a video on YouTube of someone living in the Netherlands who is from the U.S. and talking about how much better European drivers are than North American drivers. I wish some level of driver training was mandatory in the U.S. and Canada like it is in most European countries so that young drivers don't pick up bad habits from their parents. Colton, and I'll finish tonight's live stream with this, okay? There's a story about a guy from New York, and he's going to move to Chicago. So he's out and about, and he's shopping one day, and he meets a guy from Chicago. And he says to the guy from Chicago, he says, "Oh, that's awesome." He says, "I'm going to move to Chicago." He says, "I'm really looking forward to it." He says, "People in New York, they're so rude, and, they don't give you the time of day, and they just have no time for you." And the guy from New York says to the guy from Chicago, he says, "Oh, how are the people in Chicago?" And the guy from Chicago looks at him and goes, "I suspect you'll find them about the same as the people in New York." So the moral of the story is what it doesn't matter where you go in the world, there are bad drivers everywhere. And there's bad drivers in London, England. There's bad drivers in the Netherlands. There's bad drivers in Australia. There's bad drivers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There's bad drivers in Vancouver. There are bad drivers everywhere. And I've driven all over North America. I've driven in Melbourne. I've driven in Australia. I've driven in Europe. Drivers are drivers. There's no bad drivers. There's no good drivers. It's just a matter, it's going to happen, right? They're all the same. And again, it comes back to you focusing on what you're doing as a driver. So, and I've heard these stories. I've heard these stories again and again and again. Oh, people in Atlanta, Georgia, they're the worst. People in Sydney, Australia, they're the worst. People in the Netherlands, they're the worst. They're not the worst. It's how you react to that. Vrace, can you explain the right-of-way in a four-way stop sign situation? Okay, Vrace, we're getting near the end, but Corey will put the video up for you on four-way stops, and that'll definitely help you out. Monkey, how do you stop from drifting when you look over your shoulder? Okay, turn your head faster, monkey. So you basically just quick 90 degrees, okay? It's just like this. You're not actually looking. It's your peripheral vision that's looking when you're looking over there, okay? Hugh, sorry, wanted to keep comments short. Off a side load to 100 kilometers an hour road, your technique. Hugh, why don't you email me? Because I don't understand that. Off a side road. Oh. Okay. Side load. I think it's a typo. It's off a side road onto a 100 kilometer an hour road. So you're coming off a gravel side road onto a major road. Okay, so, pick your gap. You get out on the road, you start shifting gears, turn your four-ways on to indicate to traffic behind you that you're going slow. So if somebody's screaming up behind you at 100 Ks or 60 miles an hour, put your four-ways on. It's the same thing, and I'll do videos on this when I start doing the tractor-trailer stuff. When you get out on the on-ramp to get onto the highway or interstate or freeway, same thing. Throw your four-ways on, start grabbing gears, get the thing up to speed as best you can, and when you get to the end of that on-ramp, you're coming over. That's all you do, because that's when I was driving tractor trailer pulling garbage from Toronto to Michigan, and you're running out at 135,000 pounds. That's all you can do. You can get the truck up as fast as it'll go, which is only about 50 or 60 kilometers an hour. You just throw your four-ways on, and when you get to the end of that ramp, you're moving over. All right? Excellent. So we're at the top of the hour here. If they don't have any friends or family that can offer a car to use, Cecil, there's got to be somebody. Senior citizens. Lots of senior citizens have cars. Put an ad in the local paper, those types of things. Figure it out. Chelsea, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Absolutely. All right, so if you're working towards a driving test, head over to the Smart Drive Test website. Check out Smarter Driver Course Package. The link's here in the comments. If you passed a driver's test in the last week or so, congratulations on that. And if you got to have a driver's test coming up in the next week or so, good luck on that. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. All the best. Bye now.